Hey everybody, this is the Stuff I Heard podcast and I'm your host Josh Peak. Ready? Put on my earphones and let's do it. Well, hello and good morning and how are you? Today happens to be Saturday and this is episode 134 of the Stuff I Heard podcast. Today's August the 24th, 2019. Looks like we're going to get some rain here in Florence, South Carolina. I am currently in an iteration of trying to figure out the lighting for the YouTube portion of this. For you guys listening, you don't care. But I do record a YouTube version of this using a camera, using like a regular digital camera. Now the problem with shooting with a regular digital camera is that it only records up to like right before 30 minutes and then it shuts off and it says, "The thing is full, and if you wish to do it again, please hit record." And I'm like, so you've heard me a lot of times talk about the technical problems of recording and then having to get up and reset the camera. And usually that's not so much of a big deal, but it's hard to keep up with, especially if you're in a flow or if you have a group over and you're having a good time and you're constantly thinking about it. And honestly, the camera sort of regulates me to where I have to stay right at 30 minutes because otherwise I gotta go reset the thing and that kind of messes up the flow of the channel. So I have it in the works to purchase a camera in the future. We've had some things come up here at the house, so we're just kind of waiting for the dust to settle from that before I make that purchase. Plus we have a vacation coming up and I don't want to do that beforehand. Now, one of the perks about having this camera that I'm currently using is that the image quality is great, the sound is great, and the lighting, I need minimal lighting in order for it to look decent. So I have tried to use lights inside of this room and I've tried to put lights on the other side of the room. I've tried to put lights beside me to see what it looks like. The best lighting, I know this is all boring if you're listening to this, but the best lighting is literally opening up the blinds in the window across the room, which is why I put the table on the wall that it's on, just so the lighting would look right. And if I had a guest, the lighting would be on both of us. Now, moving forward, there's some things I want to do in here. There's some upgrades I want to do. I want to have like a two-person love seat over here to my left, so that if I have more guests, I can also have them in here. And I'm going to have a bigger soundboard with more microphone capability. I'm going to have lines run so that they can sit there and talk comfortably without having to drape it across people. Once I have all this going, it's stepping up the game a little bit, and that's kind of the goal, right? Is to continue to push forward. So I may move the table. I like the light from natural sunlight, but like if I go with a different camera, maybe I look at those LED lights. I don't know. So right now, if you're listening, you're bored out of your mind. I'll get off the subject. I apologize. Let's talk about Stuff I Heard, okay? This is the Stuff I Heard podcast, right? So I listened to Bert Kreischer's The Bertcast, talking to Jim Gaffigan, and it's great. Okay, I talked about Jim being on Joe Rogan's podcast, and also about watching Jim's special on Amazon Prime. It's really good. You're going to love it. Jim is Jim. Jim is a hilarious guy. He's got a funny way of looking at life. He's got 5 kids. He's Catholic. He talks about meeting the Pope. He talks about, what it was like going through life with his wife almost dying. She found out she had a brain tumor and she almost died and she lived. And now she's better and she's writing a book. And pretty soon she's going to be on tour with him. She helps him write. Like she's also a comedian. I don't think she does much stage time anymore now that, she's kind of a full-time mom. But I've always heard people talk about the fact that she's hilarious. And, he's that story that you want to hear about. I mean, he talks about it on Bert's podcast, about his history, about his dad being working class, his dad being hilarious, about his dad pushing him to... His dad was the first one of their family to graduate college. His dad pushed him to, listen, strive hard to stay in this middle class for our family. I mean, this This is important. And, you know, when you're the first generation to graduate college and you look at your family lineage and you look at how hard you struggled to get there, you sort of take pride in that and you sort of want that for your kids. And it got me thinking about my own life. It got me thinking about my mom and my dad and my place in all of this. Of course, it's hard not to, right? I mean, you're supposed to like self-identify with the people that you listen to, the people you're surrounded by, and at some point you make a determination about your own life. Okay, so if I look at my mom and my dad, my mom grew up in a very poor environment where you know, both sets of parents went through the Depression in different ways. My mom's parents went through the Depression, and their parents died when they were young, and they had siblings, and the siblings decided we're gonna get together and we're gonna work hard and we're gonna work in factories or in the fields or wherever we can, because back then there was no child labor laws, and we're gonna do what we can to keep the family together. So like all of the kids that could work went to work. All of the kids who could stay home and take care of the younger ones did that. And they sort of made a life for themselves. They scratched out a living, an existence. I don't know if you call it a living, it's an existence. But because of that grit and determination that they weren't going to be split up and they weren't going to be a ward of the state, they became strong people. Very strong-willed, very strong-minded, very strong in determination. That no matter what, they weren't going to fail. And the term limits of can't left their vocabulary. Like, it was literally figure out a way. That was their whole existence. And along the way they had some kids. They had my mom, her brother, and her sister. Okay, my mom was the oldest. My mom got to see a lot of that determination up close. My mom, being the oldest, a lot of times had the responsibility of helping take care of her siblings. My mom was drilled into that mentality of can't is not a word. Can't is a word that you need to push out of your vocabulary and overcome. And my mom saw the existence of their life and thought, you know, I think education is a way out of this. Because she was a bright lady. So she used education to not only graduate high school, first of all of the generations of that family, but then she went to college. And then she went back again and got her bachelor's, and went back again and got her master's, and went back again and got her PhD, and went back again and became a doctorate level nurse practitioner teaching with a certificate to teach doctorate level nurse practitioners to get a doctorate in their field. Or I forget how it's even phrased. But that level of education is amazing, okay? And it took a lifetime to get. She was the first one to sort of break the mold in her family of, I'm going to do better through education and hard work. Now, on my dad's side, this is stuff I heard. This is my perception. I know you guys are going to come back at me and you're going to be like, that's not what happened. This is what happened. Listen, this is my perspective, okay? So just deal with it. Mom. I know my mom's going to be the one like, this is blah, 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 blah. Listen, you want to be on the podcast? Come on, be on the podcast, talk about it. So anyway, on my dad's side, they were farmers mostly. And on his parents' side, like, they had a big family. They farmed their tails off their entire life. And they struggled, but going through the Depression, they really learned what it was like to make do with very little and save. They became really smart when it comes to making smart moves with money. Denying themselves the big grand things to pay off for something bigger. And, you know, my granddaddy Pete went off to the war. He married my granny. He sent every check that he could home. She saved the money. She worked in a factory. And when he got out of the military, she had enough for them to buy a house and get started. And Granddaddy got into the routine of building houses, buying an older house, fixing it up, selling it after they lived in it for a while. He was like a flipper back in the day, before they ever used that term or had the TV shows where those guys, buy old houses, fix them up, and then flip them. He would do it his way. He'd buy a place, he'd fix it up, they'd live in it for a while, he'd sell it, make some money, buy another place, fix it up, and keep repeating the process. And he sort of made a really good life for himself doing that. He got a factory job working with his wife, and they worked for Simmons Mattress Factory until they retired, and they were sort of forced to retire because the company decided to move to Mexico, which happened a lot during that time. But then they started making really crappy products down in Mexico, and they hired him back to be a consultant. And they paid him way more to work part-time as a consultant than they ever paid him full-time when he worked in the factory. But he was a smart guy. And he was able to continue to save and continue to make smart moves. And I don't know his education level. I don't know. That was never really discussed on the Peak side of the family. There's a lot of stuff that wasn't really discussed on the Peak side of the family growing up. It was just sort of taken for granted that, yeah, everything's fine. It's all fine. We took care of it. Don't worry about it. There's a lot of, Dad talks about this a little bit. He talks about how the Peaks were really closed-mouthed when it come to anything having to do with politics. But yet they were very verbal when it come to anything having to do with religion. The Tanksleys didn't really talk about politics or religion. My mom's side, they talked about work and how to get the deal done and family dynamics and stuff like that. The Peaks were all about religion and family. It's a very interesting dynamic. But my dad became a truck driver because he wanted to see the world, and he got to see, he got to see a lot of the U.S. interstate and parts of Canada. Totally different existence, totally different choices. These choices make you, these choices define you, these choices become who you are, okay? And out of that, you're supposed to decide what is your place, okay? For me, the hard work ethic came from both sides. The determination came from both sides. And listen, I went to high school, I graduated, I went to college. It wasn't for me. I joined the Marine Corps. Got out, and I worked hard and worked my way up, and I've scratched out a pretty decent existence. I would say I am in the middle class. I'm in probably the upper middle class. And I'm very lucky. God has blessed me. There's a lot of this country that's not in that same situation. There's a lot in this country who are suffering. There's a lot of jobs. Everything depends on jobs. Like, that's the whole thing. Because you can have a lot of decent people, and if they don't have a job, they're desperate. Like, it changes your level of what you're willing to do to exist. And what's the answer for jobs? I mean, when I was a kid, I guess my mom had really enjoyed reading Kurt Vonnegut and George Orwell and stuff like that, and she, saw that as like a warning on the wall of this is what's to come. So when I was a young man, she's like, here, read this. Read George Orwell's 1984. Read Kurt Vonnegut's Player Piano. Kind of get an idea of what this world could be. Because these were written about the future back when this is what they thought the future was going to be. And here we are in 2019, and a lot of the things that they predicted of a alternate world or an alternate possibility of the future are actually things that are starting to happen, and it's a little creepy. As a parent, as a grandparent, as just a regular person, you sort of look at those tales and you think, okay, where is my place? What am I supposed to do with this information? Because you're supposed to make some kind of determination out of it of your path, right? Either you choose to live in a bunker and you start being one of those prepper people, You gotta stack up your guns and your water and your cannons, man, because it's coming. Or you choose to live your life because every moment is a precious moment and you don't want your wasted moments to be on stockpiling when nothing ever happens. What is the right choice? It's a little bit of both, I think. I think the answer is you're supposed to be prepared, but you're also supposed to live your life. You're supposed to enjoy some of it. I have it within me to not only knuckle down and save and scrimp and make do with whatever we have, and then I've got it within me to go, okay, let's enjoy ourselves, let's have a good time. And I think that's because of the mixture of families and because of the mixture of growing up in environments that were at times the lowest of the low and at times, having the best of everything you can imagine. But it all comes back to jobs. Like I look at my families coming up and everything is surrounded by jobs. So listen, if you're listening to this in an area where things are looking tough, ask yourself a question. Are you getting access to the job that you need financially? And if the answer is no, you go, okay, where do I go to get those jobs? And you just start pushing towards it. No one's going to give you anything. We watch television and we watch YouTube and we see people become famous for no reason. And in a way, those people are put on pedestals because you go, wow, this guy did it. He did it. And all he did was record himself being silly every day. Okay, first off, are you that silly? Are you a comedian? I mean, I listen to a lot of comedians' podcasts and they get asked all the time, when did you know you were going to be a comedian? Well, everybody kept telling me I was so funny I should do comedy. Are you that person? And if you are, take a shot. I mean, listen, these guys talk about how it's really hard to make it and you got to struggle for a good 10 years before you really find your voice. But you don't, it's the one occupation that you can't do unless you get up in front of people and do the occupation. It's like if you want to be a brain surgeon, you got to go to school to be a brain surgeon. And you got to, do a lot of drilling on, models and experiments and stuff like that. And then you eventually get to go and do it with somebody watching you. But stand-up comedy is, you grab the microphone, you go up there and you talk in front of people. And it's going to suck. It's going to be bad for a while. But you keep doing it until you get better. If you have that bug, if you have that desire, if you want to be that funny comedian. Now listen, it doesn't always pay off. A lot of people think I'll be a comedian and I'll be as famous as Joe Rogan and then I'll have everything I want. No, not necessarily. I think the odds of doing that are probably as stretched as being your local tall guy in your town and saying, I'm going to play in the NBA. Well, first off, you got to have talent. You can't just be tall. You got to be tall and have talent. And, you got to put in the work. I had a son who was really good at being a wide receiver playing yard football. And he had a dream of being able to play wide receiver in the NFL. And I told him, I said, the problem is you're 5'5", 5'6". Unless you're physically playing all the time and you're an unbelievable once-in-a-lifetime athlete and you can out-jump these guys that are 6 foot tall defending you, you're probably not going to make it in the NFL. You can like to play and you can be good at playing a position, but at a certain point you got to look at your reality and go, this isn't happening for me. I like this, but it's just not my future. There's certain things that you have to have the physical characteristics for. There's certain things that you have to have the mental toughness for. There's certain things that you have to have the gift. Some people have a gift for things. We all know who we're talking about. I mean, we all know somebody who maybe, has never picked up an instrument before and can pick up a guitar and suddenly play it. Or they can sit down at a piano and suddenly know how to play a piano and can hear a tune and play it back to you. Listen, there are people out there who have extraordinary gifts. But if you're not one of those people, you have to figure out, okay, so where is my place? What defines me? And you got to go towards it. It's not going to come to you. It's just my 2 cents worth. We, here in my household, we have a change of something on the horizon. I talked before about my wife kind of going through some trouble with her job situation, and it looks like a job has panned out, and they've come to an agreement, and she's supposed to be starting to work with them when we come back from vacation in September. We're getting ready for a vacation coming up. It's going to be really cool. We're going to fly to Seattle and visit my son, Draven, and then we're going to get on a cruise ship and we're going to take an Alaskan cruise. And it's going to be really awesome. My wife has asked me, she said, are you going to try and podcast while we're on the cruise ship? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. If you guys are listening to this on a regular basis and all of a sudden you don't get anything for a while, it may be because I'm on the cruise ship and I can't figure out how to put a podcast online. That's a real possibility. I mean, I don't know. People are asking me, what do you, I don't know. I'm going to try, but I don't know. I don't know that I'll have anything to talk about other than, oh my God, it is so beautiful here. Oh my God. I don't know. I'm looking forward to the fact that I'm not going to be sweating for once, all summer. It's been so hot. Today it's overcast. Today it looks like it might rain. And today the high is only supposed to be like 80 something. 82, 83, which is the best it's been since springtime. So I'm looking forward to today. I'm looking forward to it raining. I don't really have anything to do other than get groceries. But I'm looking forward to the temperatures dropping down. My light bill this past month was the highest it's ever been. I had sticker shock when I opened up the envelope. I was like, whoa, holy cow. I know part of that is the fact that, we've been in this house 12 years, and I know that the unit is older, and it's harder for older units to keep up because they don't perform as well over time. I know part of it is the fact that I've been in the garage a lot, running power tools and, messing around with building furniture. And I'm sure that the electric has just been running like crazy from that because I've had fans going, I've had table saws going, I've had grinders going, sanders going. I'm sure if I took a break from that, it would make a difference. Right now we've got our 26-year-old living upstairs, and he's got like an extra AC thing that's in the window that's helping keep up. It's not a unit, it's sort of like a vent. It's one of those inside AC things, but it's got a vent that goes out. Anyway, it's on all the time because that room up there is so stinking hot. Even with the unit running, it can't keep up. It's just too hot up there. So, it makes me worried about the future, getting into retirement and being on a fixed income. I made a comment to somebody. I said, oh yeah, now I see how older couples, when they're on a fixed income, sometimes you hear about them freezing to death or having a heat stroke because they can't afford their electric bill. That's a real possibility. If we don't do something to lower our bill moving forward, we're going to be in the same situation as we get older. So, I am anticipating having to put a new heat pump on the house at some time in the near future. Hopefully not today, hopefully not this year. But I am anticipating the fact that at some point here, we're going to have to look at doing something different, and I'm not looking forward to that. There's a lot of people that use those slimline things. Have you seen those? They have the little slimline vent blower thing that fits up on the wall, and then they have a real slim thing that sits outside, and it seems to be very efficient, but it only does like one room. And I'd be kind of curious to talk to people about it and find out who uses them and how much of the house it actually cools, and you know, how much it costs to install and that kind of stuff. And you know, is it better to have those than a central unit? I mean, what would be more efficient? I don't know. I mean, I'm sort of just throwing this out there as a question. With our house configuration, would it even make sense to go with something like that? Because like, if I put one in the living room, which would cover the living room and the kitchen, it's near our bedroom, but would it provide enough cool temperatures for the bedroom? And if I put it out there, would it be enough for the bedrooms back on the other side of the house? This room, for instance? I don't know. I'm kind of curious. So anyway, lots going on. I checked the internet because, you know, Netflix. I'm watching a show right now that's in Russian. It's called Better Than Us. I actually just found it scrolling. It's like, if you watch this show, you might also like this show. And listen, the dubbing is terrible. There's a little girl on the show that her voice is awful, because they've dubbed it with some irritating little girl's voice. But the show is interesting. The show starts off with, if anybody's watched iRobot with Will Smith, they have the 3 laws, okay? And they talk about the 3 laws, and then they move into this thing of a society where they have like robot people, like android people, whatever you call them. They look like people. Of course, they're played by actors, and the actors who play these parts do a really good job of the weird robotic movements. Really precise. I mean, really good. But the story is good. I watched 8 episodes yesterday. Well, no, that's not true. I watched 8 episodes this past week, and then I watched 7 yesterday after work. It was midnight last night, and my wife's like, I'm going to bed. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm up at midnight? I got up at like 3:30 this morning. Jesus. So I'm like, all right, yeah, I gotta go to bed. So, but listen, it's 16 episodes for the first season, and I'm 8 episodes in right now, and I could just keep watching them. They're that good. It's really good. Better Than Us. Pretty cool. Disney Plus has been advertising a lot of shows that they're going to come out with on their platform. The Mandalorian is the biggest one that you've seen, probably. It's about bounty hunters. Very cool. Jon Favreau's doing it. He's the Iron Man, you know, Avengers guy. Chef, Swingers. You know Jon Favreau. Anyway. Yeah. So that's it. I'm wrapping this up because I'm getting near 30 minutes and my camera's looking at me going, hey, we're going to shut up now. Oh well. It is what it is, folks. We're growing, we're learning, we're doing it together, me and you. Imagine me and you, and you and me. Blah 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 blah. That was a Austin Powers. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe. If you want to be part of this and we want to be on it, reach out to me, let me know. That's it. Take care. Bye. Oh, yeah. Cue the cow. Moo. Alright, that's it. Thanks. Take care. Bye.